everybody. Welcome back to the aftermath of the Thunderdome. Slightly less thunder than we were expecting, but you know how I said at the end of the last video that I wanted to start playing again right away because I want to know what happened? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I got phone calls to make. I got things I got to take care of, but damn it, I want to see what happens next. What is going to be the fallout of this? What was Odette trying to accomplish? What was the plan? What is going to be the change in how Scale and Federico approach this? Are we going to be able to get Alan on board? What did Rinka and Maharu learn? What was their idea here? We barely got to hear from Rinka at all during elimination. We have no idea what's going through her head or what they discussed Sunday. I want to see the follow-up to this. Explain this to me. Yes, well played, Odette Malenkon. Also, by the way, I mentioned before that there's no log in this game. Technically there is. There's a summary. And you can actually see what happened over the last little... Can I please? Can I not? How do I adjust this? Yes, there we go. And you can actually go over what's been happening over the last few days. It's not the same as a log. You don't get to review things and remind yourself of something someone said if you didn't realize the context or whatever. But you can just remember what happened. This also reminded me that the entire group now knows Maharu's cause of death as well as 2 out of 3 of Federico's cards. Maharu returns. Ah, see, there we go. That means that she has all 3 of his cards means that Rinka has also all 3 of his cards. So Scale, we were right. Rinka and Maharu did have all 3 of his cards. They figured it out. And, yeah, that's a thing. Boy, that UI is weird. But now the text isn't orange again. I fixed it somehow. But yeah, let's get everyone's thoughts here. What is happening? What on earth is going on? Well played, Odette Malenkon. How do you figure, my boy? Alan speaks to himself inside the storehouse, and of course this is where he would have fallen asleep, because this is where he is. Still patched up from the fight. He figured that Odette had already obtained Federico's information. Fair. However, she opted to accept death over using that information to protect herself from his election. Federico's realization after the fact would leave him perplexed and aware that he would never surpass her. So she's okay with going down, but again, just owning Federico as she does. It's like, you didn't beat me, I let myself get taken down. You still suck, haha! Had she opted to protect herself, then he would have likely backed down in order to avoid revealing his regret, when taking into consideration that Miharu Habanata had also elected her. On the off chance he did decide to reveal his regret, someone could easily elect him the week after. Odette opted not to pursue that possibility. Again, I wish I could review the log here, because I need to review that. I'm like, what? Why? Instead, she was content in deciding her own fate. Her death was a gallant one. Again, Alan would respect that. Her way of life may have differed from the ideal Alan pursued, but it merited respect nonetheless. Gallant in death, huh? Alan had been opposed to the concept up till now. Yeah, Alan's been doing his own kind of growing off panel. I really hope we get to catch up with him sometime. Alan had been opposed to the concept up till now. He is a firm believer in approaching everything from a logical perspective. Emotions have no place when it comes to actions. Doing so would blur the concept of a black and white world. In its place would be an ambiguous reality, and the results of actions taken. He relinquished the name given to him by his parents in order to emancipate himself from his past. Ah, is that where Bill comes in? Is that where the Bill happens? That's got to be... So is his real name Bill or is his real name Alan? He relinquished the name given to him by his parents in order to emancipate himself from his past. Maybe she knew him as Bill, and he took the name Alan and she didn't like it. And by she, I mean number 6. I don't know. We'll learn about that later, I suppose. In its place, he chose Alan Scorpion, a name one wouldn't associate with his homeland of India. Yeah, I thought his whole thing was that he was Middle Eastern. Is he actually from India then? I mean... That doesn't seem hard to figure out, considering he's a semi-public figure, but still. With a new name came the start of a new life. That was what he decided. He would use his name to bind himself and build up a massive fortune as a jeweler. Yet those actions of mine were fueled by nothing beyond the emotion he believed was unnecessary. The name that he picked for himself became one he cannot abandon. Its appearance on his name card is proof of that. That woman claimed that my own emotional state led to my forced discarding of such emotions. Perhaps she was right. Who's he talking about, Keiko? You're desperate, aren't you? Yep, it is. Yeah, that's right, Keiko did say that to him. Kamabuchi Keiko said as much to him before her elimination. He may have laughed her off, but he couldn't ignore his irritation as he elected her. She saw straight through him. He knew this, and yet made every effort to pretend otherwise. Alan is desperate to live. Uh-oh. Why are you bringing up our girl, Shishimarinka? The look in her eyes pushes him forward. Are you going to start hitting on us too? Come on. Alan has already lost Divine Selection. Really? He has finally come to this realization. Alan has already lost Divine Selection. Are we losing you next? I would not expect that. I feel like you're going to get character development and maybe we would be one to survive or be one of the last to survive. If we end up with Scale, Federico, Miharu, and Rinka, what a shit group. That alone isn't enough to make him give up on life, however. I'm the one who said it, after all. The numerous lives that have come to an end thus far have begun to stir his emotions. I'm sad we don't have Odette anymore. Boy, you are way off to the left. Naomi, Miharu, and who is here? Leth? What have you been up to? It's the morning after the 8th election. Seems like I'm the last one to wake up. Oh no, we only got 3. Good morning, Rinka. Good morning, senpai. Ohayou gozaimasu. Based on the information given to me by Alan, Miharu and I were able to deduce Scale's cause of death and regret, respectively. Yeah, we did get a little bit of insight from Scale on that. I talked about that last video. Well, we barely succeeded in turning the information into cards before midnight struck. Both Miharu and Naomi stayed over once we were done. I've got a futon ready so I could sleep on the floor while they used my bed. I was surprised when both of you collapsed immediately after midnight, especially since we were in the middle of a conversation. I guess that's what you meant about getting pulled into the dream world. Yeah, they just peaced out as soon as Parker rang. At least you looked like you were sleeping soundly. Part of me was worried you would be tossing and turning like you were stuck in a nightmare. Of course, nothing was more of a relief than knowing you both made it through the night. Sorry for making you worry. I gotta say, I never thought too much about what happens to our bodies when we go to the Court of Fate. Yeah, you just collapse. I'm not even sure how time passes there in relation to here. Especially when there's no clock to check. Well, I mean, there is one, but it's yeah, there's actually a huge clock, Rinka. It's not very informative, but it's there. So we were sleeping like normal then? Yes, I wouldn't have suspected anything had I not known the details. Knowing Naomi watched me sleep is a bit embarrassing. I know that Miharu looks just as pretty in her sleep, but for all I know, I could look like an idiot. In that case, I'm willing to bet that no time passes in the real world at all while we're in the dream world. That does make sense now that you mention it, especially when you consider how surreal the dream world is in the first place. We agree with one another, but that doesn't mean we're right. Granted, it's hard to know when we can't directly compare the flow of time between both worlds. Either way, I'm so glad you came back Saturday night, Rinka. Yeah, no kidding. I take this moment to recall all that we learned yesterday. Yes, let us recall this. Scale Johnson studied graphic design in university while learning photography on his own time. Okay. He spent a few years working for a newspaper after graduating before he quit and became a freelance cameraman. A paparazzi, rather. Oh, so this is where his connections come in, I guess. So definitely not a detective. Apparently there's plenty of money to make from snapping photos of celebrity scandals in America. I'm honestly surprised we figured out his regret first. It seemed like the most difficult based on what we knew from my card. It was easy to assume that he wanted to win a gold medal related to his old job in graphic... Oh, so it wasn't a sporting thing. It was an award of some kind. Boy, that is misleading, actually. Erasing one's past is no simple feat. Everything started to make sense once we figured out that he was taking photos of sports-related clubs during his college years. Oh, okay, maybe not. Especially once we coupled that with what Rinka learned from Alan Scorpion about his work as a sports cameraman for a few months before becoming a paparazzi. Boy, this is some really stilted dialogue, but we gotta catch the player up, so we have to put it out there somehow. His photographs were rarely used based on what we looked up, so he likely didn't make much from it. That's where Rinka's quick thinking kicked in. It wasn't about the medal itself, but the sports aspect. Scale wanted to capture the moment someone won a gold medal in the Olympics. Ah, okay. So his regret wasn't not winning a gold medal or even winning or anything to do with a gold medal. It was just capturing the moment somebody won a gold medal. Plus, he wanted that photo to be used by a newspaper with national circulation. The fact that it's become his regret means he still hasn't given up on it. I'm not sure which piece of information was the most vital, considering just how much we strung together. Regardless, his regret card appeared in Maharu's card book. His cause of death is when things got tough. We never would have figured it out based solely on Alan's information. Yeah, let's hear about this. We know nothing about his cause of death, including what his card says. Maharu still would have been able to protect herself by this point because she already had his cause of death card. But we didn't stop there. Smart. I wanted to know all of his information too, just in case. I'm going to need it at some point or another anyway. It really was down to a gut feeling once we learned about those other paparazzi that died in an accident during a car chase. Things really do work on a whole different scale abroad. No pun intended. More importantly, we were able to figure out who Scale was targeting. We were able to figure out who Scale was targeting by searching for photos credited to him. So was he trying to get pictures of a certain someone? And that was connected to a car chase. The actress he was chasing was caught up in a scandal and had photos of it taken by another paparazzi who died during a car chase, while Scale was in Japan. That, and the fact that it happened during Divine Selection, served as the final puzzle piece we needed. None of it was mere coincidence to me. Naomi and Maharu both waiting for me, my being able to bargain with Alan, and most importantly, Maharu not backing down against Odette. Yeah, what about this plan? I want to hear more about that. We were able to get all three of Scale's cards through our combined will to push forward. Well done! But what's next? We can't relax yet. He might not be able to elect me now, but the same doesn't apply for you, Rinka. We can't let him get any of your info. Okay, why can't he elect you? Why can't he elect you? I want to know what happened up there. Explain. I'm going to elect him next time. Why didn't you just elect him this? Were they trying to confirm something? What's the play here? I'm going to elect him next time, but doing so could lead to my own death if he manages to defend himself or elect me in turn. And that could lead to your own death. Why? Because you would have to start revealing cards? Probably. But still, why elect him next time? Why not? Why didn't you just elect him this time? When you know that he doesn't have your cards. The issue here is it's entirely possible that he'll be able to gather all the information he needs. That would be rough. Your information is hard to come by. Is it possible for you to stay with your Gran until Scale is eliminated, perhaps? I would assume you'd be safer that way. I thought as much too, but Scale shouldn't have any issue finding both this place and where my Gran is staying, so I don't want to risk getting her involved. You don't seem aware of this, Naomi, so let me make this clear. You should watch yourself as well, especially at night. Don't walk around alone, no matter the circumstances. Wow, Miharu actually caring about Naomi for once. It's common knowledge that Rinka elected you to save you, so he may find value in using you as a hostage. Also fair. While a bit harsh, Maharu's right. You had no intention of electing me, but Scale could. I doubt I'll be able to persevere if he takes Naomi hostage. I'll keep that in mind. Darkness over her face. Naomi nods, visibly shaken. More importantly, seeing Maharu protect herself from Scale's election finally helped me realize that rule could be just what we've been looking for. Yes, what rule? What was realized? Explain. Should someone successfully protect themselves from an election, neither participant can elect one another. So basically, if the current participants all elect one another, then there won't be any options left. Shouldn't we all get to survive if that happens? That is the question. That is a question I've been asking for a very long time. What happens in a group stalemate? Do we all get to survive? Parka said we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That might just be it. That's a possibility I considered myself, Rinka. The same can likely be said for the other participants, Sophia included. Wait a minute, what? Why Sophia? You mean the other participants probably considered it? Sonia definitely considered it, because she said, she believed wholeheartedly that more than one person could survive. Maharu, you doubted it heavily, because Rinka said, we're going to figure out how to get everyone to survive, and Maharu's like, nah, you go ahead and do that if you want, but I'm just going to do my own thing and save you, and I don't care if I die. But now she's saying, oh, that's a possibility I consider myself. No, it wasn't. You liar. But she's the one who said she wanted both of us to survive. Yep. I'm positive she suggested that possibility while aware of what you just said. I mean, we all heard the rules, right? We all heard Parka say, oh, I don't know what happens. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Whatever. Mainly because the idea of every participant going along with it is highly improbable. Yup. It's all over the moment someone deviates from the plan. Again, prisoner's dilemma. I never brought this up because I knew you would suggest that everyone take part. Right now, we should focus on finding a method that ensures only the two of us survive. Yeah, still fair. In other words, betray everyone. Besides, Parka said we'd find out what happens if people who can't elect one another are the only ones who remain. Like I said, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That may not be a pleasant bridge. Maybe Parka means it when she says only one can survive, so either everyone dies or she flips a coin. We have no idea. It might just mean that we all get to live. You seem to have a fundamental misunderstanding of divine... Actually, forget it. I'm opposed to it, that's all. Yeah, but what is the understanding? We've been doing a lot more reading than you have, Maharu. We might understand it better than you do. We don't know what this ritual is about. We don't know what happens when we all meet at the convergence point. We're still very in the dark here. We can plan for the best and be optimistic even as we prepare for the worst, which seems to be what we're doing, and I agree with that. I'm curious about what she was going to say before cutting herself off, but I guess we won't find out. We also need some more choices. I think I said this a couple of videos ago too, that we were going to get into this area where now it seems like things are picking up and getting, you know, into the real meat and potatoes of it. And we might see some more actual choices come up. I don't think we've seen a choice in 3 videos. Literally, nothing has come up. So I'm curious as to when that's going to happen, because I'm pretty sure this game has multiple endings. I'm almost certain. Naomi doesn't let Maharu end the conversation, though. Can we maybe stop with the secrets? Yeah, Maharu, come on. Can you please end that thought? Don't forget that we still have school. Let's get ready before we're late. Nice deflection. Maharu, while she didn't sound entirely confident, I was still surprised to hear Naomi say that. Meanwhile, Maharu does her best to appear unapproachable while getting ready. She knows something, yet she's not saying what. I'm sure she has her reasons, but... Okay, does Maharu actually know something about the nature of divine selection? And how would she know that, and what conclusion did she come to? Let's stop acting like this, Maharu, especially between the 3 of us. Rinka... I grab Maharu's hand as she's about to make her way downstairs. Now, you're not getting away. Finish your thought. Her hand feels cold. This might be the first time I've held her hand since that time at the theme park, now that I think about it. I can't help but think that it's far colder now than it was back then. She's taller than me, so I have to look up into her eyes. There's no need for words. Maharu looks away from me before responding. I guess it's for the best then. Especially when you're the type to take action until you're satisfied. Yeah, let's hear this. No, don't make me wait. But we really don't have time right now. What's going to happen to keep us talking about this? I've got work after school today, so how about we meet here tomorrow after school? Thanks. That fine with you, Naomi? Naomi and Maharu both nod, almost in sync. Just as I try to let go of Maharu's hand, she grabs hold of mine. I'm surprised, plus she looks deadly serious. I want you to promise me something, though. Don't hate me when I tell you, okay? Okay, well now we are going to find out and we're going to hate it. Don't hate me when I tell you. I could never hate you, no matter what. Her lips quiver upon my immediate answer, almost as if she's trying to hold something back. Afterwards, the three of us head off to school. Okay, what does Maharu know? Are we going to get to it by the end of this video? We're only a third of the way through. Who are we? Well, probably means Naomi and Maharu. Oh-ho! Surprised to see you two getting along so well. Are we, though? Your surprise may be misplaced, considering we were hardly ever on bad terms. Right, Naomi? Yeah, sure. Please don't beat me up. So speaking of surprises, you're here pretty early for a Monday. Mao. Did you not stay up late last night for a change? Trust Rennie to focus on the important details. Turns out the shop was having a sale, so I went ahead and grabbed a 50-volume shoujo manga. I spent all Saturday night reading it, but I wasn't even close to finishing it by morning. That's why I ended up blasting through the rest till Sunday evening. I crashed nice and early after that, and here we are. The manga's about an actress, but I totally recommend it, especially to you, Rennie. Naomi, Rinka, and Maharu arrive at school together. While relatively early, it's still somewhat later than usual for Naomi. Prior to the Culture Festival, she would always read books on her own, but recently she's found herself talking with friends instead. Granted, she spends most of the time listening, especially regarding conversations about love and such. The little experience she does have with such topics involves a crush she may or not have had in elementary school. Great. Besides, Naomi cannot tolerate boys that well. The only time she felt anything toward one was when she agreed that a boy who could run fast was cool. Yeah, Naomi seems like she's into our girl Rinka as well, so... Naomi sneaks a glance at Maharu as she speaks to Mao. Maharu is undoubtedly beautiful, even from a fellow girl's perspective. Her face can turn heads, and she has the proportions of a supermodel. It's hard not to want to be like her. Naomi came to learn the distinction between that feeling and love once she entered high school. Could Maharu relate to this? She may act calm when speaking to Rinka, but there are also traces of shyness. The same could be said for last night, too. Naomi tried to set it up so that Maharu and Rinka could sleep together, but Maharu adamantly refused, her face flushed. Oh no, I couldn't possibly. He's noticed Maharu being enamored by even the smallest of Rinka's mannerisms, though Rinka herself seems completely oblivious. From Naomi's point of view, that must be love, pure and simple. While it may still be uncommon, Naomi takes no issue with two girls falling in love. She's more concerned with whether or not things will work out for Maharu. Yeah, Maharu's kind of headed for some tragedy here, unless we can save multiple people. And even then, does that mean Rinka's going to reciprocate? What's going to happen with all that? Rinka sees Maharu as a close friend, exactly, while Maharu loves Rinka from the bottom of her heart. Naomi doesn't want to see this disparity affect them in any negative way. Earth to Naorin! Something on your mind? Come on, ain't nothing going to come from looking so miserable. Mao. And then there's her. Naomi feels bad for Mao, considering she's been dealing with these same concerns for over a year. If they ever have the chance to talk one-on-one, Naomi wants to ask about how Rinka and Maharu first met. But at the same time, she figures that not knowing what it's like to love someone is akin to not understanding most emotions felt in the world at large. Sure. Alright. Scale. I assume we're playing as Maharu again. So, Scale, Maharu. This is going to be awkward. Federico, too. We're all going to be a little bit quiet today. Not sure what to talk about. I'll make my way to the usual bar once night rolls around. It is Federico. Okay, well, why would he not elect Maharu? Again, Odette figured it out. Why? Because you're sweet on her? Or do you just expect it, Alan? It makes sense. For Federico and Scale being the primary part of this little alliance, one to elect someone, the other to elect someone else. They could elect Maharu, why not? My alliance with Scale still stands, but above all else, I want to know why he elected Maharu. The booze is getting to me a lot more than it usually does tonight. I didn't even bother to eat or pregame either. I jumped right to straight whiskey. Pour one out for Odette. Should I congratulate you on eliminating Odette? Scale sounds more arrogant than ever. He's always been like this now that I think about it. You mind explaining why you elected Miharu? Sorry for not talking to you about it first. You're aware of how dangerous she is, aren't you? Dangerous, huh? I find her to be pretty interesting. Wanted to spend a night or two in bed with her as well. Shut up. But the idea of her being dangerous never crossed my mind. I've got one arm on the table with my head hanging down. I take another drink. This ain't like me. Maybe because I've spent all day thinking about stuff. Stuff I couldn't stop thinking about no matter how hard I tried. Things doused in uncertainty, where a clear answer may not even exist. It turns out she had all my information at her disposal. That's proof enough that she's dangerous. I doubt she could have known that I would elect her, though. If anything, it was probably Odette who figured out I would from when we were allies. Well, at least you're smart enough to figure that out. I'm surprised she told Miharu, though. Makes me glad that you were able to eliminate her in the end. Are you feeling bad about it, perhaps? Hell no. That ain't it. I'm just confused is all. Oh, this is a comment you probably shouldn't be making, Federico. She gave her own life to save me when I was dying. Knowing her, she could have escaped alive. What's more, she had all my info as well. I saw all 3 of my cards after eliminating her. I just don't get it, man. Both her thought process and this frustration I'm feeling are a mystery to me. I'm the one who won in the end, but it doesn't feel that way. Yep. Just like I pointed out. As I suspected, you... Listen, I ain't gonna deny that I enjoyed the time I spent running around with her. And when I think back on it all, teaming up with you has been boring. Everything he says and does is weaved in lies. He drinks with me, but it's easy to tell he's making sure he doesn't get drunk. Can't even compete with him like that. Yeah, Odette and Federico, they used to just drink themselves under the table. They didn't give a damn. There's nothing wrong with that if we're just cooperating to fulfill our own goals. That makes things simple then. Odette was my buddy. This guy ain't anything even close to that. Making myself sick with all these sentimental feelings. Should I take that as a suggestion that we call off our alliance? Oh, look at that wicked little grin of Scales here. Someone commented on his wicked grin during the last video when we were in elimination. That must be it. Whatever. I don't care. How do you plan on dealing with Alan then? I'll figure something out. Besides, you've been trying to figure out my regret for a while now, haven't you? Looks like you still haven't managed to, judging by your attitude. I agree that this wasn't a very exciting alliance, especially with how useless you were. Whatever. So long. Scale slams some money onto the counter before leaving. I'm not sure if he'll ever come back, but I am sure that I'm truly on my own now. Then again, I was probably alone the moment I considered stabbing Odette in the back. Miharu and Scale never needed me, nor did they ever want to get close to me. Yeah, he was mildly useful, but yeah. I spend a while longer drinking alone. I can't imagine Miharu was going to show up. She usually doesn't come here unless she's called. Yeah, I think Federico's just going to sit here and get wasted. I don't talk to a single person. I'm not even thinking about anything now that I'm drunk. I'm just wallowing in my own misery. Or so I think. Oh! Okay, that was... I was trying to think of who would come by and say hi. Alan's name was not on that list. It probably should have been. Interesting. What made you find your way over here? Is that alcohol you seem to love so much any good? A distressing voice drags me back to reality. Has Federico even met Alan in person? You're... Oh yeah, you ain't allowed to drink where you're from, are you? Really? Technically, but I've cast aside my religious beliefs. I just haven't had the opportunity to drink by nature of my age. Is he that young? How old is this guy? We don't have profile cards on these people like we do in Danganronpa. How old is Alan? Now I'm wondering. I always thought he was quite a bit older, considering how much he towers over Rinka. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I always forget you're just a punk kid. I am here for a reason, you know. Are you sure you have the luxury of getting this drunk during divine selection? Alan ignores my statement and poses his own question. This is the first time we've had a face-to-face now that I think about it, but it doesn't feel that way since I see him in the dream world so often. He's got the face of a straight-laced businessman, but his physique runs in total contrast to that. Yep, he's just as annoying here as he is there. I don't think I've forgotten about what you said during the 4th election. Yeah, they were throwing some barbs at each other. Worry not. You've etched yourself into my memories for surviving this long. Of course, I see no need to take back my comments regarding your foolishness. Oh yeah? Sorry to say I might actually agree with you now. He might be trying to provoke me, so my response must have surprised him a bit. I've just now noticed he's got a few cuts and bruises on him. Yeah, I was wondering when you were gonna ask about that. Is he gonna mention that Odette beat the crap out of him? No, never mind. You look like you've been beat up. Oh, you must have been hanging around Odette. I guess you and Odette went at it, huh? She's been dying to fight you, so I guess she went ahead with it after figuring out that I'd elect her. Correct. So, who won? I even surprised myself a bit with that question. I never would have asked had I not considered the possibility that even a monster like her could lose to this guy. The results were hardly clear, but I was apparently able to barely outlast her. That's so. She must have been real happy then. No doubt she considered him the winner if he outlasted her. She's simple like that. But it makes me jealous. Yeah, we made Odette. We beat her, you didn't. Yeah, chew on that. He made Odette admit defeat through his own ability. Must have been a hell of a fight. I'm curious to know, how strong was she from your perspective? Alan takes a minute to respond. The second strongest of those I've met thus far, I'd say. First, if we judge purely on her penchant to beat someone senseless. Damn, you actually put someone above her? Must be a samurai or assassin or something. Not quite. Just family. Wasn't looking for a serious response. Guess you're part of the crew who's changed thanks to this whole situation. Not quite. I've simply reverted to my old self. I like that he's smiling a bit more when saying things like that. We're no longer baby-murdering Alan. We're Alan who's, again, I want to learn a little bit more about this guy. That's so. Downing the rest of my drink, I leave a crumpled up 10,000 yen bill on the counter and tell the bartender it'll cover the impending repair costs. Really? I know what you're here for. You want to rough me up and find out something valuable, right? Correct. Yeah, Alan is just like, you know me so well. Have I mentioned the babies? Fine by me. If I manage to take you down, then that'll mean I've technically surpassed Odette as well. That's not going to happen. You couldn't beat the 10-year-old there, Federico. Alan's going to throw you around like a rag doll, plus you're drunk. She certainly seems to preoccupy your mind. Fate made it just so I owe her my life. Come again? Actually, going after Federico is probably smart, because again, we all have his cards aside from his regret. And if there's no way to really figure it out, then Alan's probably got the right idea. I'm just going to beat it out of you. It's worked before, why not? Come again? Don't worry, I'll fill you in if you can beat me. It's not often that I roll my sleeves up before a fight. I ain't some pushover who can't move well when they're drunk either. We'll find out about that in a minute. More importantly, I've got the height advantage. Yeah, you are technically a little taller than Alan, but still. This guy's built like a tank, but I can't see myself losing. I can. If you can beat Alan, I will be very, very impressed. Either that or the game is forcing Alan to job for you, because this is not a bet. No. Come on. Kick his ass, Alan. Ah, damn it, he wrecked me. Yep, good. Also, I love this sprite. Yeah, there's no way, no way. I make my way back to the hotel in tatters. Did he get your card? Did he actually beat it out of you? I could see Federico being tough enough to not talk, even if he couldn't win the fight. I've been staying at this place for a while now. None of the staff want to bother with me, all things considered. Can hardly blame them. Or did he willingly give up his card just because he just feels like he's lost so hard that he's like, screw it. Same reason he took a useless card from Odette when she died. I knew he was a beast, but That doesn't make losing any less frustrating. He beat me so soundly that I can't even bullshit my way out of it. One punch to the gut, followed by one to my right cheek. That's all it took to knock me over a bunch of glasses and bottles before passing out. Alan dragged me outside afterwards, and I was officially expelled from the bar. Yeah, but did you talk? Pretty upsetting, because they have good booze there. Sure does hurt. I try my best to laugh the way she did, but it leaves me feeling empty. Yeah, you ain't no Odette. Alan didn't beat me senseless for fun. He got what he came for while he was at it. Oh, he got your regret? All because I was stupid enough to hold on to something dear to me. Oh, you didn't talk. But you had something on you that indicated your regret and he found it. Fitting for a loser like me, though. Yep, you are a loser. I pull out the very object that may symbolize just how stupid I am. A ring, ever so important to me. Guess he has some compassion, considering he didn't steal it from me. Then again, he probably got a photographic memory when it comes to jewels thanks to his job. Scenery outside my room's window is far too bright for a dimwit like me. I collapse onto my bed after taking a shower, and I fall asleep almost immediately. Well, you may not have been next like I was predicting, but it sounds like you're gone. Back to Alan. This sounds like Alan music. Actually, that was something else I noticed too. If you go to the menu, it tells you the name of the music that's playing, as well as where you are and just kind of info as well. It's not super useful, but at least it tells us the date. Because there's been several times I've been like, is it Tuesday? Is it Friday? I don't know what date it is. But it's on the menu along with the music. But it is Alan music. So, wait, how do I get back? Recalling the events that followed his victory over Federico, Alan mumbles to himself as he walks. A ring of all things. Having dragged Federico out of the bar, Alan proceeded to look through his belongings. Neither his wallet nor phone held any valuable information. His credit card may have been useful at one point, but Alan already knew Federico's name. He did make sure to jot down his contact details just in case, so that'll come up later. Just as he was ready to give up, he noticed Federico holding something tight in his hand. He must have grabbed onto it right before passing out, which meant it was something dear to him. He pried Federico's hand open and picked out a small ring. While modest, it did have a diamond encrusted in it. Alan could tell at a glance that it was real thanks to his line of work. The ring itself was simple, but the mount was well adorned. There were initials engraved inside too. A bit old, but well taken care of. Based on the design, I assume it's an engagement ring. Alan committed the ring to memory, took a few pictures just in case, and then placed the ring back in Federico's hand. Wow, yeah, thorough. He didn't just get the card right then and there. He's just like, I'm gonna learn about this. He ponders a number of things as he continues to walk. Is he about to get the card? Researching Federico's ring will likely lead Alan to his regret. Okay, so we don't have it just yet. But we will by election, almost certainly. It's only a matter of time before Federico's elimination, then. Alan figures that the same applies to Scale, too. Of course, Alan does not consider people who are all talk a threat in the first place. Scale's not all talk. He voted up Maharu. He took her there. He brought her back down. Which was exactly how I felt about Federico Carminati at first. Alan's evaluation of Federico has changed significantly now. As such, he will not hesitate when the time comes to elect him. The issue lays beyond that point. Rinka and her friend, Habanata Maharu. It truly is cruel that only one can survive this. Alan states the obvious as he smiles to himself. Not from some sense of inner peace, but from his expectations. That he's going to win? He's in a good spot. Unless Scale can dig up some dirt on Alan. I mean, the girls certainly haven't had any luck. Maharu, Naomi, and myself, Rinka, gather at Lion House after school, just as we arranged. Okay, no. Let's hear what is Maharu's thoughts. I want to hear the insights. Sorry for making you close up shop early. No worries. Not like we run the place to make a profit anyway. All the regulars are fine with it too. We have important things to discuss today. Things we'd rather not have other people hear. Things regarding the secret behind divine selection that Maharu has kept bottled up. What has she learned? Does she get a visit from the effeminate dude and learn something from him? Or something else that she's just sort of deduced? Or something that maybe came up when her and Scale were up above. Just as we drop our bags and move to our usual seats, the door opens. Scale? Oh, sorry, we're actually closed right... It takes a moment to recognize who it is, due to the way the light is shining in and concealing their face. He's already inside by the time I figured out who he is. It's Scale. I knew it. You're... this place looks even nicer than it does in the photos. Ha! Number 9. Scale Jones is standing right in front of me. Not only is this the first time we've met in the real world, it's also the first time we've spoken. Why are you here? Maharu glares at him. It's clear that she's wary of him. Naomi tries to stand, but I gesture for her to stay seated. This shouldn't come as a surprise, should it? It's only natural to assume that Shishimai Rinka would have my information if Maharu was able to protect herself from my election. Following that logic, I'll be eliminated next. Thing is, I can't allow that to happen while Alan and Federico still remain. I'm working under a just cause, after all. Yeah, this is his whole thing. Are you here to threaten Naomi? I mean, you see her here with us, and you know the deal with you killing her, so... Mind explaining why you're trying to eliminate Maharu, then? Why would you do that to someone you're allied with? No pleasantries are required between participants meeting for the first time. And yeah, call Scale out. He's saying, oh yeah, Alan and Federico. Yeah, that's not who you were voting up 2 days ago. All that matters is gaining the upper hand. Well, I suspected you were working with Odette Malencon, though that seems to have been my mistake. For that, I apologize. His answer is clear and concise to the point of being suspicious. It almost sounds like a canned response he practiced beforehand in anticipation of being asked that very question. He can't be trusted. I figured as much based on what I'd heard from Maharu, but meeting him in person only confirms it. Spare us the nonsense and get to the point. You're here to cut us a deal so that Rinka won't elect you, right? If that's the case, please get on with it. I'm fairly certain you should try to make him leave. You must be the victim of that terrorist attack at Amaka before it was undone. Glad to see you're doing well. Don't you dare. Calm down. I have no intention of doing anything to her, for now at least. Just as Maharu said, I'm here to make a deal with you. A promise, if you will. I make sure to keep my guard up as he continues. Us three will be the only ones left after Alan and Federico are eliminated. I might know of a way of all three of us to survive, given that scenario. He looks as serious as can be. Around 30 seconds of silence follows. I realize that he's suggesting the same idea that Maharu shot down this morning, but I don't know how to reply. Is Maharu going to say what she's going to say in front of him? I want to know what that is before the video ends. Maharu was the one to break the silence with an overdramatic sigh. That's the best you could come up with now that your back's against the wall? You're hoping for a peaceful resolution here, but unfortunately that method won't work. If all three of us elect and subsequently protect ourselves, we'll be left with no one able to elect another. I just said it won't work, but fine. I'll fill you in on the secret I was about to reveal, but you're gonna have to go away after that. Oh, let's have it. Maharu! Doesn't seem like I have any choice but to agree. Surprisingly enough, he goes along with it. Scale makes his way into my cafe so he can hear her out. Alright, what is this secret? Rinka, you remember your promise from this morning, right? I can tell how serious she is from her expression. She made me promise not to hate her after hearing whatever this could be. Is this going to have something to do with the conversation with Odette? Maybe she learned something from that. Maybe it's because Odette figured it out. Again, Odette's the smart one. My mindset hasn't changed, so I nod my head firmly. Have a little Rinka brand coffee before we proceed. This entire ritual is called Divine Selection, so I assume you've taken the time to consider what exactly is being selected, correct? Everything starts with this question. Again, I've asked myself and I've commented, what is the ritual? What is it for? The ritual of divine selection is one that changes fate itself. Okay. It is the sole method by which one can escape their death. Is this a new song? I don't know. Might be a remix of one. That's what Parka told us. What purpose is being carried out through this ritual, though? Yeah. She never said anything about that. I never even thought why, considering I was so preoccupied with ensuring my and Miharu's survival. I have my own suspicions about the whole thing, but they've only ever led me to more questions. Escaping death is merely a circumstance of this entire ritual. Its true purpose is to develop a suitable vessel for the goddess? Okay, hang on a second here. Whoa, where is this coming from? That's a bomb that's kind of getting dropped here. Escaping death is merely a circumstance of this entire ritual. Its true purpose is to develop a suitable vessel for the goddess. So if we end up with more than one winner, does she just pick the body she likes and then everyone else gets to live instead? Where did this knowledge come from, Miharu? Miharu goes on to explain what she means. Apparently, Parka can't remain in the Court of Fate beyond the 12-week span that encompasses divine selection. Again, where is this coming from? I hope we learn how Miharu learned this, because this is a huge ass pull right now. To be more accurate, the Court of Fate can only be maintained for 12 weeks. Thus, Parka cannot remain longer than that. I'm not too sure about the logistics, but basically she needs us in order to keep living. I said vessel, but it's not like our bodies are what become vessels or anything. It's our dreams, and the worlds born from them, in which she resides. Okay. Sure. The dream world. Why can't she just reside in whoever's dreams? Who cares? According to Miharu, the dreams we have are all part of the dream world. Well, yeah. Parka claimed that dreams serve as headstones in a graveyard of possibilities that we once had, but also as part of our individual metaphysical worlds. Is this something you actually pieced together? And how does a feminine dude tie in? Parka exists in a plane above ours, thus lives within our metaphysical worlds. Or something like that. Can't say I understand what any of it means. The metaphysical refers to something without form. As a philosophical concept, it represents experiences that exist beyond our perception of space and time, so basically it borders on the supernatural. Parka herself said that we couldn't be cognizant of such a conceptual world without some work on her part. True, she did say that. That's why the Court of Fate was created. By linking our dream worlds into one shared space, we thus become cognizant of it. So, what is Parka then? I'm afraid I don't know that much. What I do know is that she's undoubtedly not human, and that her existence is far beyond our comprehension if she truly is a deity. Well, I mean, again, yes. So if divine selection is basically a system put in place to find a body for Parka to live in? I would really want to see your notes on this. Miharu nods in response to Naomi's question. Why must 12 people compete against each other then? It's still a fact that whoever makes it through to the end gets to live, right? Yep, that's one of the reasons why I said this method won't work, though. Just as I'm about to ask more questions, Scale butts in. It's the first time he's spoken up since Miharu began her explanation. I can't be the only one wondering how you know all this, Miharu. Brilliant as your mind may be, I find it difficult to imagine this all stems from mere conjecture. Just like Psy'Min Sezz, I want to see the notes on this. Show me your homework. His question is one that I, and most likely Naomi, are curious about. It's simple, really. I just so happen to be the survivor of a previous divine selection, as well as the goddess's vessel up until this round began. Okay, hold on. Hit the brakes. Wait a minute. Let's just take a moment and digest this. So basically, when you were saying Rinka don't hate me, it's because you've been sitting on this bombshell for 8 weeks. I just so happen to be the survivor of a previous divine selection, as well as the goddess's vessel, up until this round began. So by the goddess's vessel, you mean you've been Parka's vessel this whole time? And what does that mean? What's changed for you? What's happened? How has that affected your life? Did it rob you of, you know, your personality or something? Did it infect your dreams? What? I was able to speak with Parka herself within my dreams until that point. I mean, if that's the only drawback, big whoop, but, hold up! Whoa, timeout. You were able to speak with her? And you're the survivor of a previous divine selection? Rentaro? Which means this isn't the first one? Of course it's not the first one. Rinka, calm down. Let's take this one step at a time. Does that also mean that Parka somehow engineered the 12 deaths? Because she made a point of saying they all happened simultaneously, and that wasn't how things were supposed to go. Was this artificially induced in some way? She meddled in our deaths? Scale seems awfully composed in the face of our surprise. Well, that explains things. I did find it odd that something like this could happen out of the blue, so it makes sense for it to be a scheduled occurrence. How many years ago was this, if you don't mind my asking? Good questions. Long enough ago that I don't remember, I'm afraid. I hadn't even turned 1? You've been a vessel for Parka since you were a baby? So did you just win divine selection by virtue of the fact that nobody could figure out anything about you because you just sat there and cried, wah wah, changed my diaper every elimination round? Is that how you won? Or maybe there were multiple survivors last time partly because of that. And then Parka just picked her because it's like, well, this is a little baby. That seems like a good long-term investment for a vessel. Exactly, yeah. And you managed to survive despite that? Did you have someone helping you along the way? I've said enough already. Knowing that the system itself will be compromised if 2 or more people survive is plenty, isn't it? Okay, so yes, this is the thing. If she had survived with more than one person in her previous divine selection, then she knows that doing that again isn't going to work. So then it comes back to the question I asked before, what does happen? Does she just pick someone? Knowing the system itself will be compromised if 2 or more people survive is plenty, isn't it? Not really, but I can tell that you want to kill the conversation here. I'll settle for what you've told me for now. It's odd, really. He knows I'm going to elect him, but he never tried to make me reconsider. It's like he isn't worried in the slightest. That realization is enough to shift the surprise away from what Maharu has just revealed. I doubt I'll get anything worthwhile by staying, so allow me to take my leave now. Oh, I expected him to leave a parting comment, but I guess not. With that, he makes his way out of Lion House without a care in the world. Is he going to be our new bad guy? Again, he seems a little meaner than when we first met him. I mean, he is a paparazzi. They're not exactly the nicest people necessarily. He comes from an interesting world. Not as bad as the Mafia, but, you know. But, But this info is big. This info is huge. Can we have a few more comments on this before we wrap up the video? Why is Naomi facing you two? Shouldn't Maharu be facing the two of you? You're kind of the in the hot seat right now. Soon after, the 3 of us end up at our usual table. That's all, though. We just sit there in silence. I figure nothing will change if I don't speak up. That prompts me to work up the courage to say something. Tell me, Maharu, did you have any intention of making it through this together with me in the first place? Well, no. She openly said that. She draws her eyes away from me. I take a bit to think before I continue. Sorry, that was a cruel way to put it. You were planning to give yourself up for me after all, weren't you? We'd elect one another, but you wouldn't protect yourself in the end. That was your plan, right? Haha, yeah, that probably... I mean, if she knew that having more than one person survive wouldn't work, if she knew that firsthand, then she'd let herself get eliminated and leave me as the sole survivor. And it would work too, because Rinka's number one. I'd become the vessel for the goddess or whatever, but in exchange, that had let me escape my death. You realize why Scale left the way he did based on what I've told you, right? My death is what kicked this round of divine selection off in the first place. Oh, that's also interesting. So if Maharu dies, Parka loses her vessel. So if Maharu, for whatever reason, committed suicide or died or whatever happened, we still don't know specifically what her cause of death was, but Maharu dies, Parka loses her vessel, Parka's like, oh crap. Somehow, in her capacity as a goddess or whatever, engineers 11 other people to die at the exact same time. Oh, what an amazing coincidence! I guess we have to have another round of divine selection. How wonderful! Oh, we're learning all sorts of fun stuff. Huh. My death is what kicked off this round of divine selection in the first place. I failed to find any words to reply with after her explanation. Instead, Naomi speaks up. So the death of the current vessel is what triggers a new round of divine selection. In other words, your death created this one, correct? Just like Psy'Min says. Exactly. You two know my cause of death too. It was no accident. I went through with it on my own, hurting the person dearest to me in the process. I guess we do know Maharu's cause of death now because she had to reveal it as part of the last elimination round. We don't know it as the player, but everyone else is aware. While I know the cause, and am in possession of the card, I don't know the details behind it. Are we going to get to know it? I couldn't bring myself to ask her before either. Mainly because I felt it had no relevance to divine selection, and it doesn't. The last thing I want is to force her to talk about something like that. There's one thing I know for certain, though. You didn't always wish death upon yourself, though. That's why there's no need to cover for me. The card you hold and the outcome it represents are all that matters. Yet again, I'm left without a means to respond. She's made it abundantly clear that she doesn't want any form of consolation. So, I mean, again, going back to Please Don't Hate Me, you could almost say that Rinka wouldn't have died if Maharu hadn't committed suicide, because 11 people besides Maharu had to die to kick off divine selection. I can't imagine that wasn't artificially induced in some way. And the fact that Rinka just happened to be one of those people, when Maharu saw her show up in the Court of Fate, she would have been like, oh no, why? Why? Oh, that would have been... Whew. I need to go back and watch that reaction again. I figured that you'd hesitate to elect me when the time comes if you knew about this. That's why I tried to keep it to myself, although that effort's been for nothing since I spilled the beans. It wasn't for nothing at all. It couldn't be. Not when you've been thinking so hard about how to ensure Rinka's survival. And just what would you know about that? Maharu, yeah, this is not the time to go into bitch mode, alright? Chill out, settle down. No, she's right. I was out of line. Here I am, lying to Rinka and lashing out at Naomi. I really am the worst. Maharu derides herself before standing up. I shoot up immediately afterwards, although it takes me a little longer to find the right words to refute her. That's not true. Don't beat yourself up over this. I'm gonna go home so I can cool my head. You don't mind, do you? Maharu. I don't have it in me to lie to you again. Aw, such a miserable look on her face as she walked out. Maharu takes her leave, refusing to look back even when we attempt to stop her. I notice her biting her lip as she's leaving too. She's doing everything she can to hold something back. With Maharu gone, Naomi and I sit down facing one another. It pains me to know that I'm the one responsible for making Maharu feel the way she does. It was for my sake that she never mentioned anything about becoming a vessel. My survival means so much to her that she's willing to lie to me. She's been dealing with far more than I could have ever imagined. Yeah, she's been sitting on this for 8 weeks. I hope she'll be alright. I think she'll be fine, given time. It's all my fault for letting Scale influence me, though. It basically forced her to prove him wrong. Don't blame yourself. If anything, I should be the one doing that. What, blaming you? Or blaming yourself? It's not your fault either. We shouldn't sit here feeling sorry for ourselves when Maharu's hurting the most, though. Sorry for starting that cycle in the first place. Yeah, there's no way she'd be fine with dealing with a secret like that. Maharu never even considered the possibility of her own survival, judging by what she said. I feel even more confused about both Parka and Divine Selection now. Yeah, exactly. Maharu really should be the most in the know about this if she's been living with Parka in her head for, you know, over 10 or whatever, however old Maharu is years, 16, 17. So I'm not sure we can out-research that. Or maybe we can. Depends on what those conversations entailed. Maybe Maharu never really took Parka seriously. Maybe she thought she was, you know, I keep dreaming about this person. I don't get it. I don't understand. And then she finds herself here, has a flashback to stuff that happened even before she was a baby. Again, hey, I'm a hypnotist. It happens. And suddenly realizes what's happening and how serious it is. And so she's not necessarily, like, Parka's not going to let things slip. But Maharu only knows what Parka has said to her. I feel even more confused about both Parka and Divine Selection now. Maharu said she was able to converse with Parka, right? Does that mean she knows what fate awaited you? I doubt it. She looked genuinely shocked when she first saw me in the dream world. Yeah, exactly. Again, if Maharu died by committing suicide in some way, she instigated that. She's gonna feel really guilty about it. She might not even care that 11 other people got roped in, but the fact that Rinka was one of them. When you think of it that way, if it weren't for Divine Selection, I'd be dead right now, plain and simple. It's also thanks to Divine Selection that the terrorist attack on that day was undone at all. Yeah, but it sounds like Divine Selection is the reason it happened, too. Maybe it had been for the best if I accepted my fate. No, it wouldn't have. Naomi speaks up with a quivering voice. Meeting you and being saved by you in exchange for your own life, losing my life only to be saved by you again, being taught how to brew coffee, setting up our culture festival store, arguing with Maharu only to learn more about her by doing so. If it were all predetermined, then I can safely say that I hate fate and everything it stands for. Naomi, besides, I'd forget everything that happened during Divine Selection if anything were to happen to you. I don't want to believe fate has a say in that. My memories of you are too precious for that to be the case. Sorry. Gomenasai, I know this is far worse for you two than it is for me. Thanks, Naomi. That's precisely why I won't allow myself to give in. I don't want everything to be undone. My encounters, my accomplishments, I don't want any of it to be for naught. That being the case, I have no choice but to live. Alongside Maharu. But again, what does being a vessel entail? Like, what does your future look like? There's no real basis to Maharu's claims that there can be only one survivor. Well, there might be. What happened last round? What happened when there was more than one survivor? She said something about the system being corrupted or falling apart or something not working quite right. What happened? Parka herself said she'd explain what would happen should two or more remain, if that's what comes to pass. Oh, this also comes back to what I kept saying last video, where Parka was like, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. No, 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 no. You've been over that bridge. You know what happens when you cross that bridge. You don't want to tell us. And that is concerning. I can't recall if I explained this to her before, so I make sure to go over it again just in case. So you're going to try it and see how things go? Yep. If that's the only option, then I might as well. I'll probably talk to Scale again, too. It's a relief to see you acting like your usual self. Naomi makes her way home after our chat in order to get back before it's too late. We're already coming up to the end of June, so the daylight lasts longer now. It's still nice and bright outside despite being past 6. Seeing her off also helps me to reaffirm something important. What's that? There was meaning behind us meeting. Alright, what day are we at? I opened up the cafe sometime after 7. I expected the date, but now I can just check it. It's a Tuesday! Oh, we got tons of time to get screwed over. I opened up the cafe sometime after 7. I feel pretty bad about it, considering I saw a number of regulars pass by while getting the place ready. Yeah, you should be lucky to have regulars at all, considering they have to come by to see if you're even open. They're just coming by for coffee. Well, guess we came for nothing. It's hard to call this place everyone's second home with my schedule, but I just don't have it in me to completely close shop. I'm willing to admit that this might not be the best approach. Yeah, no kidding. But so long as my gran gives me the okay, I want to ensure that the store remains open as much as possible. I thought we might get a surprise visitor, but I guess not. Feels like I've gotten used to being exhausted now. Let's finish off the day, shall we? That's the first thought to enter my head when I lay down after taking a shower. Miharu. My mind jumps to Miharu immediately afterward, however. More specifically, that expression of hers as she left. Oh, it's choice time! Damn it. As for me... I mean, she'll never know that we made this choice, so leaving her be for now might be the best option. I don't think she's going to answer us if we try to get in touch with her. The game also isn't letting us know why we're getting in touch with her. We don't want to ask her things. We just want to maybe comfort her. She's had time to cool her head. Or has she? No, she's had a little time. You know what? I feel like maybe we should just... Let's just assume we're saying hi. We're not asking questions. We're not badgering her for her secret. We're just like, how you doing? Okay, that's what I'm assuming we're saying. So let's see what this gets us. Yeah, I can't just sit here after seeing that. She may be staying with family, but she's still alone in a way. Yeah, she doesn't get along with her family, her mom specifically. No one in her home is truly there for her. She might be beating herself up as I sit here and think. I'd much rather hear her voice right now, so I opt to call rather than text her. She answers before the first ring ends. Okay, good. I hope we made the right choice. Do we get to hear this talk? Maybe not. Also, this is a... No, okay. Well, if we're going to end the video after the day ends, we might have a bit more to it. Are we going to get a little more information? Let's go for a little bit longer episode. Last episode was slightly less than an hour, so let's go for a longer one this time. Miharu says she wants to see me the moment she picks up the... Would I have missed this by not calling? I wonder what would have happened if I'd have just said no. Would I have just not had this and nothing would have happened, or would there have been something else? We get an achievement for getting all the other choices, so we'll have to find out later. We decide to meet by Zojoji Temple, the very same place we brought Sonia. It is the same area. It's a different perspective, though. Tokyo Tower shines as brightly as ever. I'm not sure why she chose this place, but there's no denying that pleasant scenery can cleanse the heart. This place definitely fits the bill. Oh, what a nice outfit. Sorry to make you wait, Rinka. Not to mention asking you out at this time of night. Well, I mean, come on. We gotta be there for you too. You're carrying a heavy burden. It's fine. I was worried about you, so I'd much rather talk to you face to face. Miharu is wearing casual attire, much like me. Chances are we'd be stopped by the police if we were out in our school uniforms at this hour. Man, police in Japan have no chill. Granted, one could easily assume we were delinquents, being out this late with no proper excuse. Well, God forbid 2 adolescents be out at night, hanging out in a park. Jeez. I regret letting my emotions get the better of me earlier, especially what I said to Naomi. You don't need to worry about that. Naomi doesn't hold it against you. Thanks, Rinka. Miharu stares into my eyes as she whispers my name. I feel a strange relief knowing that she's here with me. It's proof that we're both still alive. Yeah, here we go. Let's hear some more about this. Dramatic music kicks in. Come on, I know you got some more to get off your chest. I only told you both about my being the survivor of the previous divine selection and the goddess's vessel, right? There's more I need to tell you, though. It's what Parka said during our conversations. Yeah, what did you learn? The previous divine selection was held 17 years ago, beginning July 23rd. Not only was I a participant, but your parents were as well? What is with this episode? We're getting bombshell after bombshell. This is not small stuff. I guess I mentioned before what's going to happen after the U saga. Are we still going to keep it cranked up to 11? Damn, Haru, you've been sitting on some things here. Not only was I a participant, but your parents were as well. What the hell? Both of my parents were participants? I barely know anything about my parents. And it turns out that they were participants in divine selection, much like myself? I mean, that tracks, the timeline tracks. And it is 17 years, like I was saying before, but I mean, we knew that from Miharu's guessing at her age. I'd say it was surprising, but I'm more concerned about how to process this revelation in the first place. Hold on a minute. Both of my parents were participants? Along with you? So when they were saying, it's like, did you get help with someone? Did you get help from Rinka's parents? But that doesn't add up. Maharu's birthday is later on in the year, December 12th to be precise. Noticing my confusion, Maharu goes on to clarify. I actually took a year off while in middle school, so that makes me a year older than you and Mao. Ah, okay. What, you're older than us? Sorry, I'm having trouble processing all of this. I do my best to organize my thoughts real quick. Yeah, I guess that does make partly. I mean, Maharu would have to have been older regardless if she was a baby in divine selection. And Rinka's parents were there, but that doesn't necessarily mean she was more than a year older. Maharu said she was less than a year. But I guess that's just, yeah, there's a wiggle room. I'm not going to sweat that. Both of my parents were divine selection participants in the past. Maharu was a participant then as well, but it turns out she's 1 year older than me. That would make her 7 months old at the time. This is a lot of coincidence. Does this influence how Parka picks who gets to be in divine selection? I can understand both of Rinka's parents being there if they died at the same time, but then just picking Rinka out of the blue, for what purpose? Do multiple people in divine selection right now have people in the past who were tied to it? I'm pretty sure most of the people in divine selection have mentioned something about someone in their past that was important to them dying at some point. I think? Dates were never mentioned, but I'm pretty sure that information was put out there, so maybe a lot of us have links to the previous round. Following that line of thought, I come to a certain revelation. Is it the same one I just came up with? So I was born during the previous divine selection. Well, I mean, right before. That's right. July 27th, your birthday, and the most precious day of the year to me, came about after divine selection started. Wait. So is this going to tie into those consequences? Why was that the most precious day of the year? Is it just because it's Rinka's birthday and you love her? Or did something else happen? If her parents gave birth to her after divine selection started, you would think that would mean her birth would be undone. But did Parka just play fast and loose with the rules again, or did they actually survive and there were other consequences? If July 23rd was the juncture of causality, that'd mean my parents died before I was born. Exactly. So how was I even born in the first place? At what point is someone considered a living being? I don't have the answer, but if you are considered alive while still in the womb, then it'd make sense for you to have survived. Oh, the pro-choicers aren't going to like that, but okay, I'll allow that. So she wasn't born, but she was alive. Okay. I'm still not sure how that follows. Does that mean Parka decided to play fast and loose with fate and just have Rika be born prematurely, or it'd make sense for you to have survived? We're just saying she survived. You know, no one really knows why. It's like Parka just puts on some sunglasses. Magic! Don't have to explain. Some believe life begins the moment the mother becomes pregnant. Yeah, we're getting topical here, especially considering the time that I'm recording this. Mid-May 2022. Others believe that it begins the moment you're born into the world. Well, a goddess may get some say in this. We'll let Parka be the judge here, because she's gonna... Maybe it depends on when the mother considers her child to be alive. Perception also has something to do with it. That's also a concern. Maybe it doesn't even have anything to do with factual born or conception or whatever. Maybe it's perception, as we've already seen examples of in this game. Basically, July 23rd was the day my parents would die, but not me. That must be why I was able to survive the fire and be born during divine selection. So Parka just kind of reached in there, yanked her out, left her in the fire, and said like, all right, Grandma, you deal with this. I've done my part. Hang on. That means my gran found me on July 23rd, right? Why would she say my birthday's on the 27th? My name's become something of a mystery too. Rinka. She said that it was my mom who named me, and that she did so after my birth. Yeah. Let's get some info on this. It's interesting that we're getting info on Rinka's past and her parents from Maharu, of all people. The process of overwriting people's memories isn't perfect, but is that enough to justify this? Yeah, again, Parka plays pretty fast and loose. Naomi mentioned that she saw visions of what was undone in her dreams, right? The same might apply here. Both are reality, but your grandmother opted to believe the one most important to her. Yeah, she seems positive that when she told me that it was my mom who gave me my name. I doubt she ever questioned whether that was true or not. Well, if that's not the case, then who did give you your name? And that's good enough, isn't it? Sometimes you don't need a reason to back your beliefs. Parka's done a good job of not explaining everything too. Yeah, no kidding. It'll take far too long for me to fully accept all these new revelations. Maharu looks as though she has more to say as well, so I should focus on hearing her out for now. Man, this is going to be a long episode, but it's a big one. Still, there's something I want to ask her before letting her continue. You were just a baby during the previous divine selection, right? Do you mind if I ask how you were able to survive? Allow me to answer your question with a question. What would you do if there was a baby among the participants? It basically answers itself. There's no doubt that I'd do everything in my power to protect the baby. At the very least, I wouldn't be able to convince myself to gather information on it, let alone elect it. Also, how would you? My parents helped you, didn't they? Yeah, like I theorized. Apparently, there was another among them. Parka stated that those three protected me all the way to the end and then elected one another. So we had 4 winners last round. Again, what was the aftermath of that? What was the fallout? What happened? Scale seems to have figured out that someone helped me, but I doubt he knows it was your parents. With 4 people left, 3 were eliminated. So again, is that just how it is? Parka picks one and the rest get to go F themselves? That left Maharu as the sole survivor and thus the winner. Or, damn it, I wish there was a log in this game. Or is it because if you reach a stalemate and can't elect each other, you get auto-elected? But the baby can't do anything, so the baby was just sitting there wah, 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 while the other 3 got basically auto-elected, like I said. I understand all too well why they made that choice. Or maybe that's what happened. We don't know if they lasted to week 12, and of course Maharu wouldn't really remember. If there's anything that would prove my relation to my parents, it'd be this. That's why I was scared when he first came to me about Sonia. I'm going to keep saying Sonia, because I don't feel like bouncing back and forth between names today. I thought you'd do the same for her that your parents did for me, but her foresight and meeting with Odette prevented that. Interesting. Now I need to go back and watch that video. Sonia was wise beyond her years. Yeah, Sonia was awesome. She knew that she wouldn't live long, even if she did survive due to her illness. She understood the reason why Odette threatened her, too. What if she was just your average kid, though? As Maharu said, I might have given my own life to save her. Of course, we're talking about things that aren't possible anymore. Did my parents' actions play a part in your desire to keep doing things for my sake, then? I ask this without a second thought. Her claim that she would give her life for me might be her way of making things up to my parents. No, I think she loves you. Miharu wastes no time in replying. The tone of her voice is far more intense than normal. No, Rinka. In fact, that misunderstanding is the one thing I feared more than you coming to hate me after I revealed all this. Yeah, Miharu wants to know that you love her. It's a sincere thing. It's not just a payback thing. That misunderstanding is the one thing I feared more than you coming to hate me. How so? You're as dense as a black hole. You're making Miharu miserable again. Come on. I mean, I don't like Miharu that much, but I mean, I also recognize that she's been carrying a heavy burden, so we can forgive her for lashing out a bit, considering what she's been dealing with. She covers her face with one hand, her voice somewhat distressed. You made her facepalm. I want to see art of her facepalming. Why am I not getting art of her facepalming? I can only assume there's something else she meant to get across. You also missed a word there. It's okay. Tell me everything. I promise things won't change, no matter what you say. I approach her, gazing into the eyes she's trying to keep covered behind her right hand. There's about an 8-inch height difference between us, so this is the only way for me to get a proper look at her face. What? Why are you so cute? Why are you so cute? Kawaii! She casts her eyes away and steps back before mumbling the rest of the sentence to herself. Miharu? Her eyes fall back on me, though she refuses to face me head on. Silence ensues as we stare at one another. The light of the nightscape causes her eyelashes to shimmer. Fine. So be it. Just give me a minute to prepare for this, okay? I need a deep breath or three. We need some more revelations before we finish up the video. Saying that, she really does start to take deep breaths. Yeah, go ahead, take deep breaths. It helps you relax. Psy'Min knows. I guess it's something big if it requires this much courage for her, so I make sure to remain quiet until she finishes taking her 6th breath. Rinka. She speaks my name before falling silent again. I won't rush her. This has to be a revelation even more shocking than that of my parents being participants in the previous divine select. How many revelations are we getting in this video? Good God. We know this. I love you. We know. I love you too, but no. We're aware of this. That's the is that? Boy, she is as dense as a black hole. Well, I love you too, but while not what I expect at first, it doesn't take too long for me to understand exactly in what way she means her words. Miharu confessed to us episodes ago. Anyway, I answer her right away on reflex. The short time between that and my total comprehension of her words feels like an eternity. We're in a nice place at night with no one else around. She had to find the courage to say what would otherwise be a simple saying between friends. We've spent so much time together discussing divine selection, a matter of life and death, that I figured she just wanted to be more direct for once. And knowing her, I figured she'd said it that way on purpose. But now it all makes sense. She never, ever meant it the way I thought she did. I can't believe how dense I've been. No wonder she made that black hole comment. Yeah, no wonder I made it too. Freaks out. Whoa. Hold on. Assuming I'm understanding the situation, then I'm the one who's interested. I'm not prepared for a commitment like that. I mean, we're both girls, you know? We go to a nice Christian school. That's irrelevant. Perhaps now you realize how hard I've been trying to appeal to you all this time. Let me say it once more. I love you, Rinka. Not as a friend, but as a woman. I love the expressions you make. I love the gold streaks in your beautiful hair. I love your soft skin. I love that you're short because it only makes you cuter. Not to mention your complete lack of fashion sense. I love how kind you are and how much of a busybody you can be. I love how intense you can be and how reckless. I love absolutely everything about you, Rinka. Yeah, Naomi was commenting on how Miharu picks up on her idiosyncrasies as well. Rinka's still freaking out. I've lost the ability to speak. Never before have I been this shocked by something Miharu had to say. We knew this! She confessed! Did you not take her seriously? That was like 10 episodes ago. She has the advantage while I'm in this state too. Going for the kiss! She continues to stare at me. No, don't actually do that. Her entire face having exploded into a bright shade of red. Yeah, no kidding. This is a new sensation for me. I never knew just how much one's heart could flutter when faced with the love of another. I shoot glances all around my surroundings in a panicked search for words. I desperately need help, but there's no one around. I need an adult. I guess that means I need to face this situation all on my own. Sorry. Go. I cut myself off right away. Apologizing now would mean I've turned her down. I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. Not while my brain feels ready to burst at any given moment. I've never experienced this kind of thing before, so I think I've lost my ability to communicate effectively. You really are adorable, you know that? Hard to believe you can look so fierce while staring down the other participants. I feel my capacity for speech diminish by the second as she stares into my eyes. She's completely different from how she was 10 minutes ago. I can't see her as the same Mishima Maharu I knew before. I always thought she was pretty, but the nightscape only serves to exasperate that truth. Hey, she's a hottie. Don't lie. That being said, I don't... The fact that you didn't shoot me down right away is plenty for now. I'm feeling pretty relieved now that I got it all out. Oh, well, that's good. Look at this dumbfounded look on her face. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's great. I'm happy. I'm happy for you. I can feel my breathing becoming more ragged. Maharu's next line yanks me right back to reality, though. Just make sure to give me an answer before I die. Jeez. Just make sure to give me an answer before I die. I won't avoid it. I'll give her an answer. No matter what. It's my turn to show the same resolve that she showed me, after all. How I'll go about it has to remain a mystery for now. There's nothing new, though. I've faced these kinds of obstacles many times before. This is way too big a scene for us to have skipped. If I hadn't phoned her, would she have phoned us? I feel like the answer is yes. Something would have happened. Something would have colluded to make this happen anyway, because this is way too big for us not to have seen it. That's nothing new, though. I've faced these kind of obstacles many times before. It's up to me to decide for myself. It's my life, after all. I promise. You'll get an answer no matter what. Just give me some time to think it through. Please? Maharu nods, a smile on her face. We head home next. While I may have bought myself some time to give her an answer, our walk back is awkward considering we're alone together. No doubt. Well then, I said we'd play to the end of the night, and it is now the end of the night and into Wednesday. Can't say I slept particularly well last night. My heart was racing even when I went to bed. We have learned many, many things today. Maharu being in love with Rinka was not one of them. We knew that. But Maharu being part of Divine Selection previously, and being a host to Parka, and Rinka's parents being part of the previous game, and her being born through it, there's a lot to digest here. And it's just Wednesday. That was Tuesday. That was the 2 days after the last elimination. What's going to happen next? I mean, I've always said we were trying to basically target Parka. Try to figure out some way to get everyone out alive. I wondered if there was going to be some negative repercussion. But that's a nasty one. So, I mean, if two people can't eliminate... Basically, the last game ended up in a three-way. Where Rinka's parents and one other basically decided to eliminating each other. And the baby couldn't do anything. So did Parka just make a subjective call and say, okay, I'm jumping in the baby, everyone else you die now? Or is there some sort of rule that says that if you reach a stalemate, all participants get eliminated? If that's the case, then why did Maharu and Scale not get eliminated? Maybe it's because of the way they went about it. But actually, no, Parka said we'll reach that, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, was in regards to a situation where the game ended like that. So maybe it only happens when no further deliberation is possible. And then the stalemated people get eliminated. Both of them. So you don't really protect each other. I mean, I guess you buy yourself some time to get the other person eliminated. Huh. So how is this going to play? Is there a way to beat Parka? Because if Parka, like, if you can't reach that ideal scenario where more than one person can survive, if this is solely for Parka's selfish ambitions and she's the one with all the power, is there anything we can do about it? It sounds like we're going to vote Scale out next, which is surprising because I keep saying Federico's going to be the one who gets eliminated, but he seems to be surviving quite a bit longer than I thought now. And he is going through some character development. I wonder what's going to happen. Alan's going through some character development too. Actually, no, I take that back. Alan is going to eliminate Federico. I completely forgot they had their little fight. So unless we can somehow convince Alan not to, which is very unlikely considering the revelations we just had, Alan will eliminate Federico. Rinka will likely eliminate Scale unless Scale can find a way to defend himself. I have a feeling Federico is just going to resign himself to his fate. He just feels like a loser after getting wrecked by Odette. And the revelations, the things he's learned, I think he's just going to give up and be like, yeah, fair enough. I don't deserve it. Out with me. Take me. And how are we going to learn about Alan? We actually may end up in a situation where it literally is just Reika and Maharu are the last ones left. But if it is the case, then what's going to happen? Because last Divine Selection, Parka was willing to eliminate those three that had reached the stalemate status because she still had a baby left. If it's just two of us left who have stalemated and there's literally no one else around, she can't eliminate both of us because then she loses her vessel. So what happens then? Well, the revelations are coming. We're going to find out in time. I said last time to look forward to this episode. Man, look forward to what's coming up because, yeah, things are getting good. But anyway, make sure you're following the channel if you like these videos. Please consider even just the little support. It costs nothing to hit like, hit follow, hit that subscribe, follow on Twitter, maybe catch a Twitch stream, hang out. Let me know how you've been enjoying these videos. I've certainly been enjoying them, and I will see you next time.